Hey guys, Mike Roberts, the Converse Cowboy Podcast. Sat down with world champion calf roper Tyson Durfee today. He's made 13 NFR appearances, won over $2 million in the PRCA, and just performing at an elite level in the rodeo scene. He is a guy that I was really looking forward to sitting down with. It just inspires me with the content that he's putting out, the message that he's putting out, and I know he's benefiting a number of young folks that are diving into the rodeo scene. He's got a mentorship program, No Limits Mentorship. Y'all check out this episode. Check out Tyson on Instagram. Let us know what you think. I really enjoyed doing the research on this show or for this show, and just kind of seeing your journey from the very beginning to where you're at now and what you've been able to do, man, is very impressive. Like I said, this show is about mindset. My life is about mindset. I played college baseball. I was an average college baseball player at best, but I was always just fascinated by the mind and the power of what the human mind is capable of, and being able to tap into that. And so I'm constantly reading, constantly devouring information, looking at content like, that you're putting out, the Gary V's of the world, what those guys are putting out. And for that, I'm grateful. I used to view social media as a downside. And I think it's like money, or it's like guns. It's all in how you use them, and now that I've dove into this podcast and really trying to build a brand, I see the power of social media. Just from the content that's being put out. So if you're sitting in front of your screen watching a bunch of drama or whatever it may be, it's going to be a negative effect in your life. Yeah. But if you're looking at positivity and trying to figure out how to grow, I think it's very beneficial. But so I want to ask you the question: what led you down that path, Tyson, to where you're at now, to want to build the brand you've got? What is the plan, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. Number one is I've always had fire in my stomach. Like I've always wanted to go and get after it. When I was younger, I would think last, I would act first. Now that I'm a little bit older, I think first and then I act with 100%. When I was younger, I just jump in. I didn't care if it was fighting or whatever. I would just jump in. And when I was
ready,
younger,
shoot, aim.
I got my butt kicked a lot because I would just jump in and fight at the drop of the hat, not looking like there was 5 dudes. You know what I'm saying? So I would just jump in. So I've always had that fire. I've always had that fire to just like get it. And I felt like there's always more value. Like there's more to give. Like even when I give 100%, I still feel like there's more value to give. And you wake up, it's a new day. It's a new day to prove yourself. It's a new day to put in 110%. It's a new day to make gains. And I could say that the times in my life where I wasn't where I wanted to be was when I was just chilling. Like, a week or two, I'd be like, oh man, I'm good, but that doesn't last very long. I hate that. There's always been fire in my belly. In the turning point for like personal growth, like for me, was when I was about 16 years old. I broke into this abandoned house, right? I would break into these abandoned houses all the time. Where I grew up, there was a lot of abandoned houses. And I dreamed of being a freaking millionaire real estate mogul. And I was going to buy all these houses and I was going to renovate them and rent them and yada, yada, yada. and so, like what realtor is going to let a 16-year-old into a house to look? Like it's not going to happen, right? Little did they know I had a bank full of cash because I was tighter than Nat's ass and I saved every penny my entire life, right? But I would break into these houses, and I broke into this house one time with my brother, and we're looking around, and every house was the same, literally. There was bags of trash everywhere, and they smelled like literally cat piss and dog crap. Like they all stunk and you had to watch out because there's like broken crack pipes and needles and stuff around. And I'm wading through this just monstrous pile of trash, and I feel like a corner of a box hit me in the side of my leg. And I'm like, man, that feels like real. Man, that feels like something valuable in there. And so I'm like, I'm checking this out. So I open this bag of trash up, And here's this brand new box with this dude with a gigantic head and big smiling teeth on the front of it. And like it was 1980s, like it was probably made, but this is like 1999, right? So it had been there a long time, but it was still in the wrapper, the clear plastic wrapper. And it was a cassette book of Tony Robbins. And I think it was like Unleash the Power Within or something like that. So I'm like, hell, I got no money yet. I'm going to give this a listen. And so I give it a listen. And I'm like, dude, this guy is rock solid. Like, I love this guy. And I became a real Tony Robbins fan. Not long after that, my mom bought me, I was like sophomore in high school. And I'm like reading like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad books. I wasn't like playing, Nintendo or Sonic the Hedgehog 20. I was like reading about marketing and business. And I just had a real growth mindset, because of discovering Tony and listening to those that audio book. But then like with my mom was always like this super optimistic gal that's like, honey, you can do anything. You're going to be great. We may not have power for 2 weeks in our house, but she would tell us, you can do anything. You'd be great. And, my parents did a good job of sheltering, me from what we didn't have, cause I always thought like I was a stud. Like I'm a stud. I'm a go-getter. Right. And even though it was crazy and we may not have had a power or even anything to eat, like I still felt special. So props to my parents for that,
Yeah, for sure. And very similar to me, man. I don't think it was Tony Robbins. I think I read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill first, and then I got into the Tony Robbins stuff. But very similar, just from playing baseball growing up, my dad just always saying, yes, you can. Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can, as far as being able to succeed in sports. And kind of the same thing, just sheltering me from what we didn't have, and but yeah, I think that's important. And those guys are still doing it today. Have you been to a Tony Robbins seminar or anything like that?
Yeah, it's actually really funny. A few years ago, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, right? And it wasn't Tony Robbins. It was a real estate wealth expo. Literally, it's one of the things you go to and everybody talking is trying to sell you something.
Oh yeah. Right? Yeah. I've been
there. I go to, that's okay. I mean, I get it. They're selling education. I do the same thing with my mentorship program. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think if a person can invest, they need to invest in themselves. But the last speaker on the last day was Tony Robbins. And that's the only reason I went. I didn't want to know how to buy more real estate because I've already done all that. I bought, apartment buildings and stuff. I wanted to see Tony Robbins in person. Yeah. And I remember the day before I went there, they said, you can buy a chance to take a picture with Tony and say hi to him. And it's $1,000, right? It's $1,000 to get your picture taken with him. And to back then you could shake hands. It wasn't weird to shake hands.
Yeah.
So but I'm like, man, I love the guy, but I can't give $1,000. I can't give $1,000 to shake somebody's hand. That's just not. I just can't do it. So I didn't do it. That's okay. Afterwards, I wish I would have done it. It was the best 4-hour deal that I've ever seen in my life. So fast forward about 3 years later, this was back in January. I get involved with this company called ClickFunnels, and I go to this thing called Funnel Hacking Live in Nashville. And the last day of their conference, which was like a 4-day conference, it was insane. And I actually had to turn out of a rodeo to go to it. Like I turned out of the road, like San Angelo, to go to it. And the last day is Tony, and I'm like, man, I want to meet Tony so bad. And I had met the owner of ClickFunnels. He's like this young, energetic dude that's, does hundreds of millions in revenue, just a neat guy. And so the day that Tony gets there, I'm like, I'm going to be at the door like 45 minutes before anybody else. And I know how Tony does it. He goes up and down the aisles and he's like 6'7". He's this massive guy. And if he sees me with a cowboy hat at a digital media conference, this sucker's going to call on me. Because I'm going to stand out. Like I'm going to be like the guy that's like not like anybody else, right?
Yeah.
So I get there way early. I get a corner of like right the aisle where he'd have to walk by, and sure enough, he like, and I'm raising my hand every time I'm raising my hand, and he calls on me, and we have like this 20-minute conversation in front of like 5,000 people. And it was,
man, that's great.
The absolute most amazing, time of my life. Like, I like, here's my list of priorities: Jesus, wife, family, world championship, Tony Robbins. Like that's, it ends up there pretty high. So it was cool, and he gave me some real tips to grow my business. Just next level guy. I mean, that's why we're talking right now. We're trying to bring people on our level, and we're trying to learn stuff from each other, right? And I just learned so much in such a quick time with him. It really changed my life, and it even took me to the next level. You know how to think bigger.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's why it's so important. I mean, we hear it time and time again to surround ourselves with those people. Not only like-minded people, but to bring us to another level.
Yeah, you'll become an average of your surroundings. If you're hanging out with low-level people, you're going to be a low-level individual. Even if you're the best one in the room, you're still going to come down to that average. You're hanging around next-level people, you're going to get hotter. You're going to get higher. It's like a thermometer in a room, right? Yeah. If you're hanging around in a room that's freaking 40 degrees, you're going to get cold. Yeah. If you're hanging around in a room that's 89, you're going to sweat. You're going to get hot. That's the way I look at it. And I've always tried to be around the next level people all the time.
Oh, it's a fact. You make a good point though when you talk about the best investment we can make is in ourselves. I'm a real estate investor by day, and I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, I invested in a seminar that Robert Kiyosaki did. You mentioned Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I read them all.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a great book, and it really just changes your whole mindset to how we've been conditioned, to live. And anyway, I do the seminar very similar to what you're talking about. They're trying to sell you everything, so you're trying to weed out what's real, like what do I really want to go down and what's kind of BS that they're just trying to sell me. And so I had a choice to make, man. The package I wanted to buy was $30,000.
Big boy.
And I'm a drug rep, so I'm making decent money at this time, but still $30,000 at the time, it's like shit. And so I went back to that hotel room that night, and I'm sitting there looking at that sheet of the different packages, and I'm like, shit, man, that's a lot of money. But this is what I want. I want financial freedom. I don't want to have to go to work 9 to 5 from now on. Even though I was selling, drug repping, making decent money, it was like the golden handcuffs. I'm still tied to this company and on their time. But so I did it. Wow. And now looking back, that's a very small price to pay, Tyson. Within 6 months, I had that money paid back from the information that I learned at that seminar.
Yeah, it's just for people that don't have a lot, it's hard for them because they're trying to figure out how to make money to eat tomorrow, let alone to invest in that big thing. And that's the mindset shift. Once I've been there, man. Literally, I have been days without food because I was so hungry. And there's a reason why I graduated high school 6 foot tall, 145 pounds, because I worked 18 hours a day and I didn't eat very much. Right. You know what I mean? And I saved. Like, I almost had the immigrant attitude as an American from the beginning, because my granddad was in the Depression. My dad grew up underneath that, so we didn't throw nothing away. Like, literally, if there was bread, right, and it had a piece of mold on it that big, you pick the mold off and you still eat it out. Yeah. Like, that's how my house was. Yeah. So, like, if I go shoot 3 or 4 horses a day, make $200, right? I live like I made 20, but I saved the rest. At the bank, they called me the richest little kid in Savannah because, I might have $30,000 in my checking account at, 17, 18 years old, and I was depositing checks every day, and I worked like a dog. But that immigrant attitude, even though I wasn't, I call it the immigrant attitude because you see it all the time in immigrants. Mm-hmm. They live on almost nothing, and they save everything. And that's something as Americans we got to get back, because that's what allowed me to rodeo my first year to get going. If I hadn't had that, and I blew it all, I went broke, right? I lost it all twice. And if I hadn't been able to do that, I wouldn't have ever been able to be in the position I'm in now. So it's important that if you're going to invest in yourself, that you're not, and the money's tight, that you're not investing in that dually pickup because you think that everybody thinks you're awesome because you drive that pickup or that big fancy whatever, right? You gotta dial in and live on what you need so you can invest in the things in the future that you want.
Yeah, that's right. And we live in this microwave society today. We choose short-term gratification over long-term gratification. Yeah. It's easy comparison is like with diet. That bowl of ice cream is really good right now, but you do that enough, it's going to pay its toll. But the long-term gratification is go get your ass in the gym and work out and eat the greens and eat the right way. That pays off too. You just don't see it instantaneously.
Yeah, and it takes work. It takes dedication. The thing that we miss the most in society today, even myself, every day I have to remind myself, it's diligence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not trying something, it's doing something. If you try, try is like tasting something. I want to taste it. I want to try it one time, right? You need to do some crap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you don't see the badass looking girl on your arm, like, you still need to work out more than a day. If it needs to be lifestyle habit changes. Lifestyle habit changes. That's what creates the outcome, not the I'm gonna go buy this car because I seen this dude on Instagram and he's got a car and a hot chick. Little did he know that was a model he hired and the car was a lease.
Yeah. That's a fact.
So, that's things that provide fruit for me and my family, and I really don't give a damn what anybody thinks. I don't give a damn. And I don't care if you're the highest level dude or the lowest level dude. I just don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. Just overcoming whatever judgments may be out there, whatever. And I've changed my mentality to that. I'm okay with what anybody thinks of me or what I'm doing or whatever it may be, because I know genuinely I'm trying to be the best me. I'm trying to be the most authentic me. So if you have a problem with that, you're not my people anyway.
Yeah, that's your problem, not mine.
Yeah. I can control what I say. I can't control what you hear. So that's on you.
Yeah. And like their preconceived notion, like everybody's got a different definition of what made it is. Uh-huh. Like some people's like, oh man, you got an NFR back number, you made it. Or man, you got $1 million, you made it, or whatever. Like, you never make it. You're never made, ever. It's the process. It's diligence. It's grinding out every day of your life because you love what you do, not trapped in some freaking job that sucks.
Yeah.
Love the process, man. Love the process, and then you never hate it. And don't get me wrong. There's days where I didn't like rodeo. There's days where I was trying to freaking figure out this whole digital thing. And I'm like, I'm learning to type. How the heck am I supposed to figure out how to put together a store or build a business online? But I'm like, you know what? I see the power in it. I love it. I'm going to chase it, even if it sucks right now, because it's part of the process.
That's it, man.
What person who's ever been great has not, first of all, sucked at one point, right? And then second of all, has not had to overcome some kind of like adversity.
Yep.
Like, we look at it as a bad thing. Those are just stepping stones. That's all it is.
Yeah. Do you follow Tom Bellew at all?
Yeah. I do, actually.
Tom Bellew?
Yeah, Impact 3 is some good stuff.
Yeah, he talks about having the willingness to suck as long as it takes to become great.
Yeah.
And you're right. And at one point, and I've talked about this on other shows, like at one point I really had this illusion, like if I can get this much money, if I can get this girl, if I can do this, then I've made it. Well, guess what, Tyson? I did it all. I checked all the boxes, man, and I get to the top and I'm just looking around like, now what? Oh, well, yeah. I need to make this much money now. Like you just keep raising this monetary value, and that's not it. And I feel like you're a brother from another mother, man, because that's what I learned. The journey is the destination. It's the process to enjoy. And that's why it's so important to love what you do, because the shit's going to hit the fan. It's not going to be fun at all times. So
it's going to suck sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to love the journey, man. You got to love it. I feel like I'm talking to a 16-year-old me, right? When I was 16, I wanted a badass truck.
Yeah.
I wanted the hottest girl in school.
Yeah.
Right. I cared what everybody thought about me.
Yeah.
I wanted to be cool, and all that stuff. And of course, I'm a little country boy from a little hillbilly town in the middle of a cornfield, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can be, if you're young or old, it doesn't matter. If your heart's still beating, like, you can be anything you want to be. Like, don't let somebody else's limitation affect how you live your life because they failed, right? You know how many people left my town and went on to be, a world champion? I speak 3 languages. I have a digital media business. I have a belt buckle business. I rodeo. I have sponsorships with billion-dollar companies. Like, nobody in my town could think that big, right? And it's not a diss on them, because they're great. They're the salt of the earth people. What it is there was nobody in their life, these people's life, telling them that, hey, you can do anything. When I left at 19 years old and moved 1,700 miles away from my hometown and found a mentor, my mind and my life began to change because I seen that the world was bigger than my little town.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's so
Yeah,
important.
the blinders came off.
They came off.
Yeah.
They came off. I can make $1 million in 1 year. Oh my gosh. You know, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
If this guy, like, the thing that I think about all the time that blows my mind is I see some dude or some girl over there and I'm like, they're getting it. Like, and they're good people. They're getting it. They're making money. They're donating to charity. They're giving to their churches. They're doing this stuff. I'm like, if they did it, I can do it. I just have to reverse engineer the crap that they're doing so that I can figure out how to do it like they did it. And if they did it, I can do it too. Right?
Yep.
I just got to model what they're doing.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the other thing I've realized is, to your point, there is no universal reality. It's all based on perception, you know, and how we choose to perceive the world and the things that are happening to us. And the thing, I read a lot of Stoic philosophy, and the thing that I go to is control what you can control. Yeah. Let everything else go. You know, so for those challenges that may come up, that I think the majority of what happens in life is out of our control. You know, how do you, let's take, for instance, 2016 at the NFR, was it round 4 or 5?
5, I think. Yeah.
Round 5.
Where you're going with this? Yeah.
I'm curious to, you know, I've heard you talk a little bit about it before, but the mindset that it took to go night 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you walk in Thomas and Mack, what's going through Tyson Durfee's mind?
Yeah.
Whenever you walk in that arena.
So here's the deal, man. For those of you that don't know, I'm competing at the National Finals Rodeo. That's like the Super Bowl of our sport. I'm backing up, and I go to jump my horse forward, and the guy lets the calf out as I'm dropping my horse forward, and like my horse just takes off after the calf, and like before I even know it, like I'm halfway down the arena thinking, what just happened? Right? Long story short, I got a bad gait. I was really long in that calf. But to me, that whatever, I think I was like 18 or 20 seconds or something like on that calf. Like when I got done, I rolled out of the arena. I was fuming and I was pissed, right? And there's nothing wrong with getting pissed off. If you get pissed off, give yourself time to vent. The worst thing you could ever do is hold it inside you and blow up a week later, right? If you're mad, get pissed off. Just do it by yourself. Do it by yourself. Don't do it in front of your kids or your competitors. Go into your own room, hit the punching bag, do some work. People think that we work out because, you know, we just want to be perfectly healthy. No, I've got red hair. I'm an Irish guy. I'm pretty fiery. I work out because I need to let off some steam sometimes, right? Yeah. And so I went back, I let off my steam. I got a 10-minute rule. Once after 10 minutes, I'm done. It's it. It's over. I live my life. I went back to my car. I sat in my car. My wife got to the car and she was upset. She was upset. And she's like, oh my gosh, you know, this is terrible. I'm like, I just replanned that run. I replayed that run over and over in my mind as an 8-second run. And I said, I refuse to let that run steal my happiness. I refuse to let that thing, this thing, could be financial for you, it could be relational for you, it could be whatever. I refuse to let it get in my mind and steal my joy, steal my happiness. I've got 5 more rounds. This is what I'm telling myself. I got 5 more rounds. Let's go be the champ of the world. I did it.
Dude, I got chills.
If I gave it my mind, if I gave it my joy, it would have taken that world championship away from me, right? I can use that championship for greater things, so why not?
Yeah, and that just shows how powerful the mind is. So, yeah, for those of you that don't know, Tyson did go on to win the world that year.
And I've been in a spot to win it every year since.
Yeah.
Because I learned how to handle my mind, and it's, you know, I haven't, like this last year, I missed the world championship by 0.2 of a second, but I'm happy for the guy that won it because he's a great guy. But it just makes me hungry. You know,
yeah, right.
I just want it more. I'm not diss on anybody because I think you get a gold buckle, you achieve something great. I'm never going to be the guy, and you shouldn't either. I'm talking to somebody through this camera that is like, oh, that guy, he's lucky, or he's a, you know, whatever. Luck is preparation, meeting opportunity in the right moment. That's all you got to have.
Yeah. I read that quote actually about 30 minutes ago. I forget what I was looking at, But that's so true, and to just, because the thing is, yeah, you're competing against the top 15 at the NFR, but really you're just competing against you being the best you. That's all you can control. You can't control what those guys do. You can't control what the calf does. All you can do is be the best you, whatever that may be. And that's always going to get better, And so my thing, what I've learned is to not really judge whatever the performance is, or not really have an expectation of the outcome, which is very hard for me. I'm a very competitive person. And so that is something I practice daily, but more so just to work on me, be the best me that I can be. And I know that sounds woo woo and maybe a little hokey, but I firmly believe that, and it's something I lean on and try to practice daily.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I think for some reason, I think Cowboys are some of the best culture on the planet Earth. I'm speaking to my people when I talk to Cowboys. I just am. That's what I am. But Cowboys tend to think a lot in the past, right? It's part of our culture, how things were done in the past, and that's great. And we never need to let that go. But the thing is, you might think that personal growth is dumb because your granddad or your dad or whoever, your friends, think it's dumb. But if you go back and you study people that are great in anything, whether it be calf roping, business, money, they always are getting better. And it's not by luck. It's not by chance. It's because they work hard, they self-reflect on where they were and where they want to go, and they have a plan and they take action. Those 4 things, you do it, you grow, you're going to get where you want to go. There's no other alternative. Listen, if you keep making the same mistake over and over and over, that's the definition of insanity. So Why not self-reflect and say, all right, well, maybe I don't like Tony Robbins because I don't want to hug people and smile, but damn it, I'm going to get better, right? So Yesterday, I drank too much beer. Today, we're going to wean it back. And in 30 days from now, I'm done. Or if I'm chewing, I chew too much, which both of the things the year that I won the world, I quit chewing and quit drinking the day that I won the world, both. And trust me, it was the hardest thing in this planet that I ever did.
That's interesting. I'm curious. So you said the day you won it, so you didn't go out and celebrate and
I did not.
Drink? So what made you do that? What made you quit those 2 things that day?
To be honest with you, man, I knew that I won the world championship because I had help from a higher power. I believe in God, and it's not my job to tell people what they should believe in. I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe he helped me win that world championship. And so in saying that, I said, God, I know you want what's good for man and for everybody. And I don't want these kids, these people seeing me put a chew in my mouth or drinking a beer. And I said, you give me my life's desire, I'm going to give the rest of my life to you, 100%. And that doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. That doesn't mean I don't cuss, because I like to make mistakes and I like to cuss occasionally.
You're human. We're all human.
And I got a temper. I'm getting better with it at age. But I just knew that it wasn't going to be some 12-year-old kid see me put something in my mouth that was going to hurt them 20 years down the road, or drinking beer, right? I think that people that are winners, that go out and get it. And I'm not, when I say that, I don't just mean money. People think that winners or somebody has money. No, money has nothing to do with it. I know people who are billionaires. I'm personal friends with billionaires. And these people are winners not because of their bank account. They're winners because of the lifestyle they've chosen and the charities that they give to and the kind of heart that they have. I've met people who have nothing who are more winners than millionaires. Trust me.
Yeah.
So whatever that looks like for you, I just knew for me, if I want to be a true winner, it had nothing to do with the amount of money I had, but it had everything to do with the way that I carry myself and the way that I act. And if I'm, talking about how great I am, I got to chew in, I'm drinking a beer in front of a 12-year-old kid, he thinks that's what he has to do.
Mm-hmm.
And because God gave me the ability to wear a gold buckle, then there's no way that I'm going to take and hurt somebody else's life with it. So I did it both the same day. And the thing about that is I tried 10 times, a minimum of 10 times. Dude, I would go to the store. I would crack a can of Copenhagen because I love Copenhagen. I still do to this day. I would take one chew out of it. And then I would get so mad at myself, I'd throw the can out. And the next morning, I would drive back to the gas station, buy another can of Copenhagen, and do the same thing over again. And I tried forever to quit. And finally, when I had something that made me do it, that was my accountability, I was accountable to this, I finally got it done.
Yeah, I think that's important. Do you think that applies with really any habit that you want to acquire?
Guaranteed. My dad told me, he said, you shake a man's hand and you tell him something, son, you die before you go back on it. And like that day when I quit chewing and quit drinking, I felt like I shook God's hand. And when I did that, I gave him my word, and I can't go back on it. I can't. And I'm not that goody two shoes guy. Like my dad's an outlaw cowboy. So it's not like, he's like the old school, rough, tough cowboy. And so it's not easy for me to not drink and not chew and not want to cuss all the time. Like naturally, I want to be a heathen. Which makes me tell you, sometimes the things that you naturally want to do, you say, I'm just trying to be me. Well, sometimes that stuff you want to do isn't the right way to do it,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've damn sure done a lot in your life. You're still young. What are you, 35, 36?
36, man.
36. Knowing what you know now, though, Tyson, if you could go back in time, hypothetically speaking, and give your 20-year-old self advice, what advice would that be?
Man, patience. And I don't know how to, I've had that question 100 times in the last month, with these kids. Like, man, I don't have enough money. I feel like, this kid's out here and he's making it, and I'm not, they're comparing themselves. The advice I would tell you, number one, don't compare your success to anybody else's, because we all got our own path, right? I'm a late bloomer. I was 32 years old when I won the world. I'm at the height of my career at 36. Most of the time, athletes are at the height of their career at 24, 25. So I'm a late bloomer, and I'm only a late bloomer because I stayed in the game. Most people don't stay in the game long enough to become a late bloomer if they bloom it off, right?
Yeah.
So patience, right? Become a master at the basics. I don't care if it's digital media or calf roping or speaking. Understand the basics and execute them every day of your life. Build on a solid foundation. You get that done, the quicker you will be a champion in anything. If you don't have a foundation, you're going to fall hard. And I had to fall hard a few times before I had that foundation to get me to the next level.
Yeah, I think that's so important, to have that foundation to go back to. And I saw a quote that you said, sweat equity equals confidence.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, right. I mean, that's where the all of the even for like doing these shows and whatnot. If I don't prepare, if I don't go into it and know as much as I can about whoever it is that I'm sitting down with across the table, I've done my listeners a disservice. I've done the person I'm sitting down with a disservice, because I want to pull out all the good. I want to get all that you got, And so with that, with the sweat equity of doing the research and the homework, comes confidence to be able to sit down and to be able to have a conversation and get the most out of it.
Yeah, one of the things that I teach in my mentorship program is the fact that how to develop, how to build confidence. Right. I've got 5 video training series on how to develop confidence, how to get confidence. There are multiple types of confidence, but the deepest, the most firm, with the highest foundation is sweat equity confidence. I'm going to tell you a little story. When I was in high school, we worked like around the clock. I lived on my own from the time I was 14. The place was owned by my dad. He had another house away from the ranch. I lived on the ranch with the ranch hand. So if you can imagine like a bunkhouse on a ranch, taking care of the cattle, the horses, and my dad lived away, not far, like 15 miles or whatever. But at 14 years old, I'm doing my own laundry. I've been doing my laundry since I was 10. I had to feed myself. I've paid for everything of my own, right? All my own clothes, my meals, my gas, all that stuff since I was 12. Right. So we would ride horses from 7 a.m. to around 11 o'clock to midnight every single day. That was it. So there was no extra time to, go out and party or get drunk or act like an idiot. My dad worked us. I mean, by today's standards, we were worked like slaves. I mean, that's just the way it was.
When you say we, who was it? Was it your siblings?
It was me, my brother Wes, my brother Travis, and one hired hand. Most of the time, the hired men made $150 a week. That was it. That was room. And we always laughed and joked, called it the Durfee diet, because everybody that came to our ranch, they dropped about 30 or 40 pounds immediately because they were used to eating a lot and they weren't used to sweating and working the way we worked. And I realized one day, I'm like, we're riding 20, 25 horses a day, but man, I'm not tying very good. My tying's not very good. And I'm like, what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to get better? And what I decided to do was like, all right, I'm going to sacrifice something. Like, I knew at that point, like getting good at something equaled sacrifices. Sacrifices and effort equals outcomes. Okay. And so I'm like, all right, what do I got to do? All right, here's what I got to do. I'm going to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm going to flank and tie for an hour and a half before I feed the horses, before I go to school on weekdays. And we're going to see what happens. What I do, I work my ass into the ground, right? This was not long-term sustainable thing, but I did it for day in and day out, probably 2 years, you know, minimum of 4 days a week for 2 years. And there's a reason why I'm a machine on the ground with what I do, is because I put in that sweat equity young. I may not have had confidence catching them at that age, but I had confidence flanking and tying because I could do that by myself at home. I only needed about 4 hours of sleep back then. And I just grinded, man. I grinded. And I wanted to make it.
Yeah.
Man, if somebody comes to me, they say, man, I don't have confidence in this. I'm like, how much have you worked at it? How much have you put the sweat equity in, right? They're like, well, you know, I practice for 15 minutes a day or 15 minutes 3 days a week. Like, man, I hate to say it, but you don't deserve to have confidence in it. You got to grind it. There's a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell that says a professional puts in 10,000 hours. I took it a step further. The average world champion puts in 20,000 hours of practice. And at this point, up till last summer, I put in 34,000 hours of practice tie down rope. So by that standard, I'm actually behind. I haven't won as much as I should have, as much practice as I put in. But the thing is, like, if you got confidence based on how you did at the last rodeo, that confidence is going to be broke the first time that you don't win.
Yeah.
Right? It has to come deep. And you only get that deep confidence when you put in the sweat equity. And you put in the sweat equity because you love what you do. If you're doing something just because you want the buckle or the girl or the fancy car, you're gonna lose, man. You're just gonna lose. It is the way it is.
Yeah, it doesn't last. It doesn't last at all. And I talk to people all the time and employees. Hell, I had a conversation yesterday with an employee and the excuse I hear the most is I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I'm busy. I don't have enough time. Well, what time are you waking up? You know, because I get up at 4 o'clock almost every day. And I'm reading and I'm meditating and journaling and I'm doing these things. And that's not a judgment to anybody that doesn't do that. But I have no sympathy for you because we all have 24 hours.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. There's plenty of time even if you sleep 8, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If your time is scheduled. I'm a freak about my schedule. When you contact me for this, I'm like, man, I got this. I got 1 hour at this time. And you're like, yeah, perfect. People who go out and get it, they schedule their time. They don't lackadaisically stroll through the day, checking Instagram, checking Facebook, seeing what's going on. Oh my gosh, you see what's coming on TV tonight? I got 3 hours to sit down and watch Bachelorette, you know? And I'm not saying I haven't done that stuff because I have done that stuff occasionally. But damn it, it's scheduled in. I got
Go ahead.
There's none of that. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Most people that are, and doesn't even have to be a performer, but folks that are operating on an elite level have a routine. There is structure. I'm curious to know what yours is, Tyson.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty simple. You know, right now we got little kids. I got a 1-year-old. I got a 3-year-old. We're going through that whole stage of life where we wake up 5 times a night. You know, it's hard. It's hard to wake up right now. I try to be in bed by about 11-ish, 10:30 to 11-ish, and I end every single day with a sermon or a Bible or some type of Bible study. That's just me personally. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, but that's what I do because I know if I can control the end of my day and I can control the beginning of my day, the rest of the day gets a lot easier to keep in control. So every single day, I end my day with a Billy Graham sermon or listening to the Bible with my headphones, and I sleep with it on. I sleep with headphones on because I'm programming my subconscious mind for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
What I do. When I wake up, It's usually around 6:15 to 6:30. Right now, there have been days and months where I would wake up at 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now with the kids, and up multiple times a night, I know that I have to have about 7 hours of sleep to get the type of day that I want the next day, right? I've got a sleep app. I monitor my sleep. I know how many times I'm up, if I'm getting deep sleep or I'm getting light sleep. That's a whole nother story. I start the day about 6:15, 6:30. I do not set an alarm. I don't have an alarm. Immediately when I wake up, I take care of my daughter. I make sure that she has her food. We spend some time together. We talk. We watch a little bit of Peppa Pig. After I feed her while she's watching TV, I dive into the Bible. I read deeply into one verse of the Bible every day while I'm eating my breakfast, drinking my coffee. After that's over, it takes me about 15, 20 minutes. I get about 5 to 10 minutes of news per day. And it's usually Fox Business. I'm not really into fluffy or puffy. I just want to know the facts and I get out.
Mm-hmm.
Usually Fox Business. And then from there, I'm attacking the day. And I know, like, if I can control the end of my day and the beginning of my day, everything else seems to just roll into place.
Yeah, it's so important, and I have my little morning routine. Have you ever read the book On the Day, On Your Life by Aubrey Marcus?
Mm-mm.
It's a good book. And I know there's a number of different routines and different books out there around that, but I think it's important. Just pick one, for those out there that may be trying to search for one. I mean, that's just one instance, and that's what's worked for me. But the whole thing around that is light, movement, and hydration.
Yeah.
And that's what gets my day going.
It's funny, for what works for you may not work for me, may not work for the next guy, because when I got into this whole digital media thing for about 6 months, every morning I'm waking up at 4 a.m. I'm taking an ice cold shower. And I'm out of the house, right?
Yeah.
I'm down the barn. I'm in my barn right now, and this is my office barn, and I get some serious. And so I did that. That's what I did for 6 months. I just get out, ice cold shower. My wife, when I come back to the house about 8:30 or 9, she'd be like, "Why were you making those weird noises in the shower?" I like, maybe it's because I couldn't breathe. It's 30 degrees outside, and I'm taking a nice cold shower. Like, the water's cold coming from out there.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
But and what the other thing I practice every day is gratitude, man. I am just so grateful. Like, I am so grateful for everything. You know how many times I could have winded up dead in a ditch?
Mm-hmm.
I've literally traveled probably 1 million miles rodeoing over my lifetime. And how many times I've been so close to rolling a truck or just a massive accident that I just didn't get in. Mm-hmm. And, after I don't feel invincible by any means, but I feel like there's something watching out for me, and I'm just so grateful. So every day I thank the Lord for all the great things that he gives me. I thank him for the health of my family, and I pray for people. You know how it is with social. I mean, people send you messages 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be, somebody that's got cancer, or, there was a young man who took his life the other day. A friend of his reached out. And so just a lot of prayer goes into those people and trying to lift them up. But I start my day every day with gratitude. It's got to be all about gratitude.
I think, that's very important too. And the thing is, most people think they should only be grateful when good things happen, but I try to find the gratitude in anything. COVID-19, I'm looking, where's the opportunity, because it's there. And I'm getting messages from people. Well, and I get it. I'm not diminishing the severity of COVID-19. People are losing jobs. Some folks have lost their life, but this lady sends me a message and she's just down and out. And I'm like, well, I know you saw this message, so your eyes work. You sent me a message back, so your fingers work. You're breathing, and so, like, find gratitude for all of the little things, and then that builds a habit, and it becomes a practice every single day. And the more we look for the good, the more we find it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much opportunity out there right now. I mean, like, digitally, visually, there's so much opportunity out there. And listen, I'm a cowboy. I don't know anything about, like, I'm used to doctoring cattle and riding horses. How am I learning about digital media, right? It's because I want to, and I don't listen to that damn little voice that says I can't. I don't have that. I had it. I don't have it anymore. And if right now you're struggling for cash, because literally right before he did this, I was on the phone with the kid in my mentorship program, and he's just an exceptional young man. He's like, man, I got laid off my job. You know, he's in sales, and the specific product that he gets, he can't get no more because they shut the border down, right? And essentially, he don't have enough money to keep rolling. He's like, what am I going to do? I'm like, first of all, you can't look at the negative. You got to look at the positive. I say, you're a salesman. Here's what you do. You go to Craigslist right now. You type in search free things. There will be a ton of crap on there that has value. You got to pick up, right? He said, yeah, I got a truck. I say, you go get that stuff for free. Don't buy anything with cloth. Buy everything that's wipe downable. Like if you can clean it, wipe it down. You just go get that stuff for free. You post it on Facebook Marketplace, and you make some money. Before we were off the phone, he found a piano, an elite piano for free that he found a comparative piano on Google for $2,800. The exact same piano.
Yeah, man. That's great. Gary Vee style.
This is how you do it. Listen, I have $1 million indoor arena, and that's great. I'm not stroking my ego because I don't give a damn, right? Because I practice it. My couch in my house, I got it on Craigslist for $75. When we got it for $75, I'm like, I could sell this thing for $450 right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you got no cash, get on Craigslist, search free stuff, get that stuff for free, put it in your garage, in your bedroom, whatever you are, and then flip it. That's all you got to do. It's easier now than it's ever been. I mean, there's technology. You don't even have to talk to people. Just put it online. You know?
That's it, man. Yeah, the possibilities and opportunities, you're right, are really limitless at this point. Well, look, we're running short on time. I know you got to go, Tyson. I could sit here and talk to you for probably 3 or 4 more hours, man. I've enjoyed the hell out of it. And again, very grateful for your time and that you're spending with us. But I got 2 more questions for you.
Let's do it.
Name of the show is the Converse Cowboy. So we ask everybody that comes on the show this question. What is your definition of a cowboy?
You know, it's funny that you say that because my definition might be a little different than a lot of people. Mostly for me, my definition of a cowboy is when you look a man in the eye and you shake his hand, you better be able to back it up. You don't go backwards on what you say. You live it. You be what you are. And I have some friends of mine that are in inner cities and urban environments. I say, you know what? That's cowboy. What you did there was cowboy. You may not wear the cowboy hat, but what you did was cowboy. And to me, that's what a definition of a cowboy is, because I'm all about it. I'm all about spreading, our values, the things that we have, to the rest of the world, because they may not have been able to grow up like we have. Mm-hmm. They may not have been able to be around the type of people we've been around. But you know what? They can get our values. They can understand our values, and they can benefit their life. So for me, that's what a definition of a cowboy is.
Love it, man. That's good stuff. Last question. Where can folks find you? I know you got No Limits mentorship going on. Are you doing any clinics? Where can folks find out more about Tyson Durfee?
Mainly I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I don't really have any clinics going on. I have my mentorship program for tie-down ropers. Very soon I'll be having a lot of other mindset coaching programs going on. But right now, just Instagram, Facebook. I'd love for y'all to follow me. I'm starting to do some giveaways every day on my Instagram page. So if you comment, you're entered in to win. You could get a private coaching call from me. You can come out to the ranch, spend time with me. I'll get you No Limits gear. I'll get you a bunch of stuff. But really want to engage with people more on Instagram. And I love that feature now. Like when you go live with somebody, and I'm doing it quite regularly now, like you can actually click them on and then you can talk to them face to face. Like to me, that is the coolest thing ever. I love it.
Yeah. Technology, man. Well, Tyson, look, brother, I appreciate it again. Folks, if you guys haven't found out about Tyson Durfee, definitely go check him out on Instagram. Doing a lot of good things, and is definitely something that I'm checking out daily. So, Tyson, thank you again, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it, brother.